Cool. Welcome back to Kerbin Circularisation on Science Mode. First evening stream. Yeah, we're going to be doing a couple of hours, and then I'm going to be watching the Perseverance landing stream, hopefully, after we're done here. But yes, we are going to be doing our docking and returning our multiple science experiments from Minmus. Then hopefully, depending on how many things we unlock, deciding what to do next. So yes, without further ado, it's night time. Let's go straight to the tracking station. Start as you mean to go on, and we want the Minmus rendezvous because we have our maneuver in 3 hours. There we go. So let's go. Great, here we are. So let's double check our rendezvous. Should be nice and yeah, 0.2 kilometers, 6.4 meters per second. We should be fine. We have, let's make the burn 0.3 seconds. It's not very long, so yeah, really do 6.6 meters per second burn. You kind of want to try and be precise. 15 seconds, probably a bit long. It's 2.5. 12 seconds, that should be fine. So 12-second burn, and then we shouldn't need to be too aggressive with our rendezvous. But yeah, let's go ahead and warp to our maneuver. Switch to target because we got within range. 4, 3, 2, 1, and burn. One and 0. It won't be exactly right. We should be relatively close. 0.2. Yeah, 6.3 meters per second. So I mean, it's going to take us about that long, about 12 seconds, to completely cancel that speed. So I'm thinking we probably don't need this thing to be fully powered up. I'd probably set it to let's set it to 10, because the thing so we're around Minmus, because the gravity's so low and all of the orbits are relatively sedate. It means that we don't need massive amounts of thrust to actually rendezvous around Minmus are usually nice and slow. Normally I'll actually do a bit of pull prograde to sort of before pushing retrograde, because normally you're approaching way slower than because normally sort of like the normal sort of set of like rule of thumb about like 10 times your distance in meters per second is like you're always coming in way under that, because we're 50 kilometers away and we're 50 meters per second, which it's anyway. Let's go. So this is intersect in 48 minutes. So we want to. I usually go about 5 minutes before intersect to do the final approach. So 48 minutes. We want to go about 43 minutes, which is about here. Yes, yeah, 2.3 kilometers away and we're 6.1 meters per second. So like we don't really need to worry too much about it. Because I mean, like, I'd want like maximum. I want to be traveling 20 meters per second relative. But what we can do actually is we can you can burn to pull prograde onto target. And we can switch to a target there. See, intersect 1 of like 3 point something meters per second. But you don't want to be going too fast. So I mean, like I wouldn't go above 10 meters per second and then start turning around to do our deceleration. There you go. Let's let ourselves around to retrograde and then start doing our final approach. So you can see the retrograde marker isn't quite lined up. So what we'll do is when we're coming to slow down, we can use the burn to push the retrograde marker to line it up, and that should reduce our intersect distance. Obviously, if you've seen one of the previous episodes where we did this around Kerbin, it's relatively straightforward. I say relatively straightforward. I mean, it's like orbital rendezvous and docking is one of like the more difficult skills in Kerbal. I think like a lot of people are always find it difficult learning docking the first time. But once you know what you're doing, it seems to be relatively straightforward. The number of like Reddit posts on the Kerbal Space Program subreddit of like I docked for the first time. And it's an achievement. It's like it's worthy of congratulation like for every player. I guess I saw someone say that like there's no small achievements in Kerbal Space Program. Everything is like we're having a bit fast for there we go. But it's fine because we can like you point retrograde, then you don't 5 meters per second. Intersect down to 2.5 meters. So because you'll notice the intersect goes up when you just burn without steering necessarily. Yeah, that's pretty well lined up actually. You see there it is, 200 meters. So we want to down to 2. So yeah, so I mean, like relative to, so in target mode, all our velocities are relative to the thing. But what essentially we're doing is this, like, the other target is traveling faster than we are, and we're speeding up to match its velocity. But obviously, everything is relative. So depending on depending on how you define what you define your velocity relative to, it's all, every single frame of reference is valid. We'll try to come to a stop about 20 meters away. So okay, go coax the rest of the way on 1 meter per second, and then we'll kill the rest of our velocity when we get to our target distance. You'll notice that they're going out of alignment now slightly, but then that's because we're not going to hit it directly, we're going to go past it. So as we get close to it, our velocity vectors would eventually flip around. I remember the first, in my career mode today, the first few times I was trying to do orbital rendezvous, it was so difficult. And especially managing to because in career mode you have a bunch of rescue missions to get Kerbals out of capsules that are just orbiting Kerbin, etc. And the first few of those were just because a lot of them are really weirdly shaped, the sort of the Mark 1 plane cockpit, for example, is really difficult to get with a grabber. Okay, let's start slowing down now. Okay, that works. So we are now basically stationary relative to this thing. So what we're going to do is we are going to set this as our target, control from here, and then we rotate to face target. Do the same from here, so control from here. So this is our target. Rotate to face target, like so, and we're now nice. This is a very easy docking method. And then we will use the, I guess we'll use the main ship. So switch back to the main ship and RCS and 3 meters per second, 0.3 meters per second, and just let it coax the rest of the way. And then I don't think we're going to need to do any EVAs here because these capsules have the ability to transfer, I believe. If not, then we'll have to do it manually. But okay, there we go. We are docked. Welcome aboard. I'm trying to get a better view. So in theory now, if we do this thing here, container transfer data. So we click that, we can select one of these, and it should transfer everything into that box there. Look at all that transferring. Cool, so this one now has 43 data in it. So we go this one, we do transfer data. And then we select the other one, like this. Transfer all of that little data. So I was thinking, I said like last time that we have a control core, a probe core in here so that we can deorbit this thing. But I think I might leave it in orbit because it's not a bad lander, to be honest, especially for Minmus. And since they added the EVA engineering, like refitting stuff in one of the recent updates, which is really good. Like I'm really big fan of this feature because it means that like we've got this lander which has like it's missing a bunch of the science experiments we're probably about to unlock, etc. And it maybe doesn't have the best engine or it's got like. But what we can do later on is that we can go get this thing, like dock it to a ship and get an engineer Kerbal to fit it with new stuff, and essentially like retrofit it, and then we can refuel it and then we can reuse it later on if we don't unless we want to launch an entirely new thing. So like. And also, like, if we decide we don't want it later, we can deorbit it once we've got a seismometer, so we can take advantage of the impact, creating like sound waves in Minmus's core. But no, so we've transferred everything. So in theory, we now have 43 copies of data in here, 43 experimental data in here. These are now devoid of everything. Yeah, the collect all thing is interesting, but at least I'm not sure if they've changed it. But I think last time I was aware of what this did. It collects from other containers as well, which is kind of annoying. But anyway, let's transfer our Kerbals. Actually, let's he doesn't really need that anymore, so we'll leave that in the lander because like if we have another Kerbal come, if we use this again, then it's there ready for us to use. And then we transfer Bob into here. And then we transfer Jeb into here. So we now have all three of our Kerbals in here. And then none of them in there. And that's it. I think we've got everything we need. So now we just need to undock from this, get ourselves back to Kerbin. Re-enter Kerbin's atmosphere, and then again, hopefully, fingers crossed, these things should be able to withstand re-entry eating from low Kerbin orbit. If they don't, I'll be quite miffed. And yeah, then we land and we check our staging. We can check it. We can double check staging, but that all seems fine. Make sure I configure these correctly. Yeah, we're all good. We're all good. Right. Yeah, so I don't think there's much more to do here. So what we can do is we can actually we'll rotate ourselves to normal, so that we're not so that the lander is neither in front or behind us when we start looking at doing yeah, if we undock at normal, then we can sort of use our RCS to pull away from the lander, and there's no risk of it being in our way when we're doing a prograde or retrograde burn. Essentially, so if we undock the RCS and then back up a bit like that, then essentially, yeah, it just means that we don't have to necessarily, because this thing should stay above us now, because we'll be on I say it'll stay above us until like. I guess the orbit it'll eventually like stop and come back down. I think because of the way orbits work. But hopefully we should be well on our way before that happens. Right, let's talk about getting back to Kerbin, which is over there. Orbit maybe is still just like chilling. So yeah, we want to be leaving, going that way, I think. There is that maneuver here, and then prograde until we leave. Kerbin periapsis is very much. So let's optimize this for escape trajectory first of all. So this is 18, 17. So 17 there, and then 16, 12, 11, 10, 9. Yeah, we get an interaction with the moon. Not fun. To be fair, we could probably maybe we can take advantage of that. Let's have a look. So we are passing in front of the moon, which means that I think. Do we pass? No. Do we pass in front or do we pass behind the moon? Problem is the patch can't extend go far enough ahead, so what do we add an orbit? There we go. If we add an orbit, then we get rid of hopefully don't interact with the moon. There's another one. Okay, let's add another orbit. I think because we're adding orbits, then we'll have moved around. So I wonder if okay, that's 55 kilometers, which is not quite what we want. We want to get up a little bit higher. Again, we're aiming for about 80. There we go. 80 kilometers. What of our periapsis speed will be? Periapsis will be okay. Yeah, if we don't slow down, we leave Kerbin's orbit entirely. So that's good thing. Good thing we're not using a mod that makes our engines randomly fail. So yeah, so we're going to start burning in a day, which again shouldn't be a problem because what we can do just to make sure we're fine is is what we can do is we've got a day. We can switch to the other one because I believe we should have control of it, and if we just okay, probe cores have complete thing. Useful to know. I think that might be a bug. Because I think that maybe in science mode all the probe cores have all the options available, but in theory that it should only have stability assist. It shouldn't have any of these target holds. But if we just hit not prograde or retrograde, or lower our orbit a bit, but it's going to put ourselves on a different sized orbit, so there was no chance that we'll come back and hit the main ship. So I'd say it's like say 65 kilometer orbit. Just gives us a bit more of bit more leeway. Then just That'll do. 65, 65, and then we can switch back to this. That way we don't need to worry about that about the lander hitting us if it's on a completely different sized orbit. It should be somewhere ahead of us. So if we just point ourselves towards our target. Actually, what we can do is we can, before we do this, just in case, just to make sure we know how much of a reduction of burn we need. What is that? 933. So we should have plenty of delta V. We're also going to be upping this thing to full power because we're going to need full power for our burn. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Should have plenty of delta V left for the to deorbit. Okay, let's do this. Let's warp A to our maneuver node A. Around we go, around and around. Look at the Kerbals. They're ready to go. Ready to go home. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. There you are. Precision. Let's double check. Let's make our do. Then our next maneuver is 84 to 77. You know, we can probably adjust that slightly. No. No. Probably need to reduce this, I think. 84 to 77 is not too bad. Again, I mean, we're going to be like that should still be well clear of the atmosphere, and again, it'll be low enough for us to do what we need to do. And then, yeah, I mean, if we stay on this trajectory, then we end up on this orbit. which would be not fun. Let's not do that. Ooh, we also have unknown objects, which oh yeah, because you can yeah, these are the asteroids, but we'll worry about those some point later. For now, I think we should go ahead and well, let's what's our periapsis currently? 81.26. It's fine. Let's walk away from the Minmus, wherever that's gone. There it is. Bye bye, Minmus. Cool. We're just walking to Kerbin's sphere of influence. Point ourselves at our maneuver node. Ready to go. And then let's just 3 days, 5 hours away. Let's just go. And there goes the moon, which we managed to avoid. And there we go. Right, 58 seconds to go. So we need to complete this burn, otherwise we are leaving the Kerbin system, which we don't want to do. Nine. There we go. We're at 85 to 76. It's not quite circular, but I mean it'll be low enough for our purposes. Right, let's figure out our landing. So where's the Kerbal Space Center at the moment? It is. Oh, it's there. It's just coming into daylight. So I think we can try and land somewhere near it. We're going to be going across water, so let's see. Our orbital period at the moment is half an hour, and then this thing rotates once every 6 hours. So it's going to rotate a 12th around. So about a 12th around by the time we get around the orbit. So imagine a clock. Imagine the Kerbal is currently like the 6 o'clock position. I believe it's rotating this way. I might be wrong. I believe it. I'm pretty sure it rotates this way. So it'll be around about here-ish when we complete one. Basically, we come back around to here. So I reckon we probably want to put the we probably want to put our periapsis maybe a bit further on, like here maybe, so that because we don't reach the periapsis point because the atmosphere slows us down some, so we end up undershooting, I think, by usually a bit more than I. So if we aim for like here, Where was it? Right about here. I reckon we wouldn't land too far away from it. So we had a manoeuvre here. Reduce our periapsis. Oop, that didn't go wrong. Reduce our periapsis down to 35. Nope, that's what I usually go for. Yeah, so well, when you do a maneuver, your maneuver affects the opposite side of the orbit. So if you do a maneuver here, then it's essentially it puts it'll pull your new periapsis or apoapsis opposite where you're burning. So the general idea here is that so hopefully Kerbal Space Program, the Space Center will be halfway, like about a quarter of the way to this point by the time we get around to there, and then another quarter by the time we start entering the atmosphere, hopefully. But I guess we'll see what happens. Let's point ourselves at our maneuver node, and we're doing a 1 second burn. We can just do this burn on using a variable throttle rather than setting our throttle this time. Because I mean, like, if we overburn or something, it's not the end of the world. Like, what we can do when we're re-entering is we can actually no, we won't. We'll detach the before we do this. Let's just double check our staging. So yeah, next stage is that. Yeah, is that. Yeah, so this is the next stage, which will basically leave us with our yeah, then that, and then this thing, which I don't know if we actually want to. I mean, we don't have to stage it if we don't want to. We could decide what the velocity is, because again, we don't want to. Because I mean, like the heat shield's got pretty good impact tolerance, so it might be worth leaving it on. But I guess we'll find out. But yeah,